Hi y'all, it's Kate at Kate's Garden Chicken and Cat Ramblings, and I don't know if you can tell by the ambiance of the room that I'm sitting in the coop. Yeah, in front of their fan, in their shade. I even went topless for a while to cool off. We're supposed to be cloudy all day. We're not supposed to get above 86 or 87. And just as I come outside to do some work, God decides to take away our clouds and any breeze. I mean, what the fuck? Chickens thought I was crazy. They're like, oh my God, that poor creature has no feathers. She must be dying. She's so pale. No one would want to eat them breasts. But now they're snacking. They've gotten over their shock, and they're like, damn it, if she's going to block our fan and our breeze, and we're just gonna find something to eat. Yeah, that was the solution to everything. Oh yeah, I put some scratch there earlier. So I don't think I'm sure you can't see through this, but maybe there's some T-posts out there. These 6 I have, I kind of spread them out evenly, and then in between I'll probably put 2 of those green posts against the house once I get the netting up. But this is so I can stretch the netting nice and tight. And then Paul got a smaller diameter mesh. It's like the green mesh right here, but it's smaller. So I may have actually better luck of fixing those metal plastic covered ridge poles. We'll see. But I'll use those to help keep it taut. But I've got to be able to get them this evening when this area all becomes shaded. See the shade cloth, hopefully they can see through it. We can get them out there free ranging when that's all in shade, so I can come in here and rake all the straw out, take this ladder out, bring the pallet for this side of the coop back in, opposite this one, of course. So I'm gonna go, yeah. So this is my left side, my right side, and at least get the floor done, the tile. I ordered some vinyl tile over it to put on it to clean it. Of course, I'm going to use the deep bedding method, but when it does get all scraped out and need to be scrubbed, I will. It will be on tile. But I'm gonna get this ladder out of here because I can't do anything with it in the way. But I want them out, being able to free range while I'm in here working in the cooler evening. But not that the evening is going to be much cooler, of course. You know, once again, weather talk. Everybody on their YouTube pages, at least grown-ups, are talking about the weather. But damn, you know, I don't know how I did it as a kid. I can remember being a kid out in Oklahoma, and we would go outside on days that it was in the 90s, probably with a heat index of well over 100, and we would play out all day in the sun. Come in looking all brown and hot and sweaty, or red in the face and pale around our mouth, and my mom would make us sit down and cool off and drink water, and we'd be so mad because everybody else must be playing and having more fun than we were. We don't need to cool off. We're fine. We'll get under a tree, Mom. Let us go. We'll get in the creek. Let us go back outside. And there were 3 of us. My younger brother and my younger sister, Tina and Chuck. My sister's about 18 months younger than me. My brother's 3 years younger than me. And we were a threesome to behold when we were kids. I mean, we weren't wild and untamed naughty kids, but man, we could have some adventures and get in some trouble. A lot of trouble. We never got caught. That's why people are like, oh my God. I said, you know what? We got spankings. And the things we got caught and got spankings for, we deserve those spankings. But there's so much, I mean, so much we did that if we had gotten caught, we would have deserved a spanking, but we didn't. So, you know, I like to think that the spankings I got, I know I deserve them. I deserved a lot more than I got, so, you know, it's a healthy balance. I definitely spare the rod, spoil the child. I just seen it. I've lived it, seen it too much. You know, creatures with undeveloped brains do not understand what no is until something makes them understand no or don't. You know, you don't know something's hot, you don't know something's dangerous until you experience that danger. But anyhow, once again, I digress. Back then, we grew up as children. This is just a little part of the story because I have such a very detailed, and it's an interesting story. I mean, everybody, at least people think so. To me, it was just my life. But as kids, we moved around a couple places, but we spent our most years as children in El Reno, Oklahoma. It's a little town where I was born, and then we moved away from there for a few years, and then we moved back until I moved away for, I guess, a year, maybe 2 or 3, and then we came back when I was about 7 or 8, and we lived there from the time I was 8 until I went to junior high, and then we moved to Oklahoma City. But you know, El Reno is famous now for its tornadoes, and it has grown so much that you see, anything you see in El Reno that looks modern wasn't there. You know, there's still streets that now they put the streetcar back in, but for a while, one of the streets that bordered our house was the old brick road, and had the old trolley rails in it. And them were the days. But man, we were those early 70s, mid 70s kids who you know, we got up, we had ourselves a bowl of cereal shortly after the sun came up, and then we went outside and we just got on our bicycles and grabbed either a fishing pole and some worms, and we were at the creek or at the park or at friends. And you know, there were no cell phones. You know, we really never had money in our pockets. Sometimes we did. Sometimes we would put quarter, 50 cents in each. I would put in my pocket for the 3 of us, because then we could go to a soda machine at a grocery store that was about 6-8 blocks away and get a can of soda. Back then they called it pop, or in Oklahoma they call everything Coke. I'm gonna go get a Coke. It doesn't mean you're drinking Coke. I was always a big Dr. Pepper girl. As a kid, I loved Mountain Dew. Yeah, like I needed all that caffeine as a kid, but you know, hey, it helped keep us going. And it probably did help keep me going, because those were the years before they found my blood disorder. So I would get tired faster and start feeling weak faster, and pound a Mountain Dew and have some artificial go-go juice there. And I went through bouts where I would get really weak, and it'd be like a week I'd have to stay in the house and couldn't play, because I would be getting so weak that my speech was impaired. And they just said, oh, you're anemic, let's give you big liver and iron shots, which were the worst. They would perk me up and make me feel better, but they were painful, you know, and you could taste them and feel them moving through your body. They were just thick and horrible. And, you know, in hindsight now, we know that that was very dangerous to be giving me those big old shots, because my iron wasn't actually low, though I showed anemic. It was because of the thalassemia. But, you know, except for maybe a couple times a summer when I'd be down for a week, and which had always happened in the summer. I never thought about it until I've gotten older, that it never happened during the school year. Which, I mean, we were running and playing, but you're inside and you're indoors more. And in the summer, you know, we're out in the Oklahoma heat, just wide the hell open, playing and playing. And as much as I did pick on my little brother and sister like older sisters do, we were a tight threesome. They were never far out of my sight, and I could pick on them, but no, I wouldn't let anybody else pick on them. And we do have older siblings. There's 3 siblings older than me, but they're all 3 at least a decade older than I am, which was like 9 years older, 11 years older, and 13 years older. So by the time I like to say they never picked on us. They bossed us around, you know, and more parental-like. But we didn't grow up together as me and my younger siblings did, you know, as friends, enemies, siblings, you know, comrades. You know, we never played pirate together, and, you know, of course I was always the captain. I was the oldest, of course, you know, but we had so much fun as kids. And my little brother looks back on it, and he can remember a few bad times, you know, like the time all the boys in the neighborhood mooned the girls, and we went and told on them. They all got spankings on their bare hindies. About 6 little boys in the neighborhood crying, and they hated us girls for about a week until they needed someone to come back out and play Kill the Man. Kill the Man was the game we were playing. You know, whoever had the ball got killed by the others. And it was a rough contact sport. But, you know, we played a lot of Red Rover. That was always great. But my brother would build, back then, and in that town we had an alley. Which I'm pretty sure that's where the trash cans would, but of course, you know, when you're a kid, you don't pay attention to where the trash goes because you're too small to take it out. At least to, you know, where it's picked up. But the alleys were so much fun, and the boys would build bicycle ramps back there because they were typically out of the view of your parents. And, you know, so, and we would traverse through town, through the alleys and through the yards of abandoned houses or little old ladies who, you know, would yell and bitch at us. You know, back in those days, sometimes if you got caught as little kids walking through some little old lady's yard, we knew better than to destroy stuff. And a lot of times I can remember those little ladies coming out saying, "You kids look hot. Would you guys like a glass of Kool-Aid or some water?" And we'd be like, "Yes, thank you." You know, you weren't afraid to take a glass of Kool-Aid or a glass of ice water from a little old lady. I can remember one lady coming out with, well, at that time it was before plastic milk jugs. Yes, you used to be able to get, milk was always in paper, but a little lady coming out with some sort of jug and saying, "Y'all just keep it," and she'd have it full of cold water, and we would lug the heavy thing around and all take turns drinking out of it. If we came across any of our friends who were hot and thirsty, we'd let them have a swig out of it too. There was no worry about germs, you know, or backwash. We were kids, you know. We were indestructible, you know. We had germs all over our body. Germs were not a big deal, you know. That's probably why, as adults, we are, for the most part, a very healthy group of kids, a very healthy family. I did have a couple relatives who got the Ronavirus, we'll call it that. But, you know, I didn't. But, you know, we didn't wash our hands all the time, and we played outside, and we drank out of the water hose, and we just, you know, we just were kids. We were just kids. We were exploring and we were learning, you know, all those adventures and all those games we made up. And I used to love the Boxcar Children books, and so we would reinvent them and, you know, go out in the woods and pretend we were living out there and build little cans and fires in big 1-pound coffee cans or the big 5-pound coffee cans. I don't know, they were big enough to put over your head. You know, we just, you know, we weren't a destructive, I'm sure there were some, but we ran with a whole neighborhood of kids, you know, blocks and blocks of kids. And, you know, you had your friends and you had people who you were friendly with. And, you know, I can remember getting up when the sun was barely up on like Saturday mornings, and me and my neighbor friend next door would get on our bikes and ride to the big road, which we weren't supposed to ride on, and go to this one big huge supermarket that had a luncheon counter, and we'd go there for breakfast. You know, we'd take our allowance money, and, you know, we could get a full breakfast and a soda for, you know, like $3. And we would be like, we would feel so grown up and special as we sat there at that counter at a little table ordering our own breakfast. You know, we were like 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade. Those were the days. But my brother remembers a lot of stuff fondly. My little sister does too. Her memory's not as good as my brother and I's, but boy, we had a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And the heat, it was hot in Oklahoma back then too. You know, not a summer like this. I don't remember ever hearing of a heat dome, and if I had, well, probably would have ignored it. We weren't big on the news as kids back then. There was no social media, there was no cell phones. We just went out and created our own adventure. We just wandered around our neighborhood doing whatever the hell we wanted. Wandered around our little town of El Reno, Oklahoma, doing whatever we wanted. You know, we did know that if we got in trouble or got hurt, we could just go to an adult. Or, you know, there were payphones, but we could go to adults. You know, you just knew to go to an adult for help. You know, there wasn't the fears. There wasn't, you know, I'm sure there were still dangers. I can remember in the middle of when the adults in the news was talking about the Atlanta child murders. Well, we were in Atlanta. We were El Reno, Oklahoma. And we knew lots of people, and people knew our parents, and people knew our grandparents, and, you know, it was just an enchanted time. So I have reminisced here about having what was a really great childhood, watching my chickens have a little great juvenile teen time here, digging and burying themselves. And I've cooled off, and now I'm going back out to sweat off another 5 pounds. You guys have a great Friday afternoon. Love y'all. Bye.